My name is Rudy Gomez, and I was born December 4th, 1946, in Los Angeles, California. My dad was in manufacturing, and he was disabled and lost his right arm, and he worked as a spray painter. And my mom worked in the laundry, a big warehouse type laundry area. And I have three sisters, all younger. Well, I graduated from Garfield High School in February 1966, and a few months later, in July 1966, is when I actually entered the Marine Corps. I have no family members that have previous military service. I enlisted. I saw too many John Wayne movies, and I always wanted to be a Marine. And it was just instilled in my brain growing up watching those war movies. I chose the Marines because it's a small unit, and I want to be with, according to what I've read and what I heard about, I wanted to be with the best. And I want to be in the field, in the action. And that's why I joined the Marine Corps. In this year of just previous to July 1966, my parents were already divorced. And I lived with my dad for a moment, and I enlisted, and he had no problems with it. But my mom is the one that took it a little hard. And so anyways, I went to boot camp, and it was very, very good for me. I had a lot of fun in boot camp, and I was just able to, first of all, I was in shape, and I never got in trouble. And this is one thing I always heard, and I tell the younger kids that are going in, just do what you're told when you're told, and you'll get along just fine. And I was very fortunate that I was able to do everything. After graduating from boot camp, I was sent to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and I went to supply school there. And after I graduated from supply school, I wound up getting assigned and stationed at Camp Lejeune, regimental supply. And I had a very easy job. I hated it. 8 to 5 job. And sitting at a desk ordering supplies, and my buddies, and the war was heating up in Vietnam, and here I had a desk job. I had it made. I was very unhappy, and I volunteered to go to Vietnam, and they didn't take me. I volunteered a second time to go to Vietnam. NEMOS, Military Occupational Specialties, what they call it. And again, I was denied. I volunteered the third time to go as a grunt, 0311, and I was on my way 2 weeks later. When I first entered the military, it was different. You know, living in a big, giant room with about maybe 35 other Marines sleeping next to each other or above them or below them, and just everything, you know, not having your own room. It was a little hard, but not bad. You just adjusted with it, you know, and there was people from all over the United States. So you had to either put up with them, you know, with their habits or my habits, whatever, or prejudice. It was different. I didn't really care for it, living in the barracks. I went to Vietnam, I believe, I'm not sure of the month, it was either August or September of 1967. And I was assigned to India Company, 3rd Battalion, 26 Marines. And my captain just happened to be Captain Dabney, and he was Chesty Puller's son-in-law. And Chesty Puller was a very famous Marine who won, I believe it was 5 Navy Crosses. And so I wound up being assigned to Captain Dabney, that was Chesty Puller's son-in-law. And we wound up going north near the DMZ and Quezon area, and we were assigned, after being there about 4 days or something in the Quezon area, we were assigned to go up to one of the hills. There was a few hills, about 3 or 4 hills surrounding Quezon airstrip, and we wound up getting assigned to Hill 881 South. That was one of the hills to protect the Quezon airstrip. There was 2 Hill 881s. I was south and the other one was north, but I was assigned to Hill 881 South. And we wound up getting there the last couple of days of December of 1967. It was right after Christmas. We wound up hiking up there. During my time in Vietnam, I was not there that long. Like I said, I was there around August or September of 1967. And I wound up getting wounded January 21st, 1968. So I was just there a few months. But during that entire time that I was there, we had action here and there. Basically, we were searching for them, searching, getting ambushed by them, booby traps, whatever. But the biggest action that I witnessed and participated in was January 20th, 1968, when our entire company, India Company, went on a full-size patrol going toward Hill 881 North. We had heard that the enemy was out there because 2 days prior they had ambushed a recon team and killed all of them. And so we went to search, see what was going on, and to find out what was the capacity as far as who they were, how many. And now in our patrol, going northbound toward the Hill 881 North, about 8:30 maybe in the morning, we didn't know this at the time, but our company ran into a battalion of the NVA that was hiding, getting set up to attack our Hill 881 South that next day. So we surprised them, and we were surprised. We didn't know it was that big of a unit. And so we had basically an all-day contact with them for about 8:30 in the morning, the 20th of January, like I said, to roughly maybe 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And we lost a lot of people then. We lost a lot of people. And it was just, we were so close that the one of the snipers that they had missed me 4 times from about maybe 5 inches away, kicking up the dirt as I'm on face down and laying on the ground. Moved to the right, he shot again, about a foot away, backed up again, he shot another round at me, he missed again. And I remember 2 grenades going over our heads, and I'm yelling out, Chai Kam, to let my Marines behind me know what's coming over. And the Marines are falling down beside me, right and left. And my lieutenant of 3rd Platoon ran up to me. I was on, we were all on line. I was on the extreme right of this line that we were advancing up this little knoll. And he came up to me and he asked me, told me that there was a sniper over here around 10 o'clock, probably about 75 yards away, roughly, that I can remember. And I, at that time, had an M14 rifle. And I looked to my left. 10 o'clock, there was a bush there. He told me he was behind the bush. And why he came to me, I don't know. I was the only one in the platoon, 3rd Platoon, that had an M14. I don't know why he came up to me. But anyways, he did come up to me. And I looked to my left, like I said, 10 o'clock, saw the bush, and I took the shot. And I never saw my lieutenant again. And all this time, there's so much chaos going on within our little platoon that I didn't realize, but our platoon seemed like it was getting pretty beat up. We were 3rd Platoon, 1st Platoon and 2nd Platoon were up on this other ridge line, advancing in the same direction, but we were by ourselves. And the word went out to our captain, Dabney, what had happened to us, through the radio. And 2nd Platoon came over to assist us because we were beat up so bad. And I was about maybe, I don't know, about 10 yards from the little knoll peak, the crest. I was right over here. And that's where the Chi-Coms grenades were coming from. And they had us pinned down. And then this other lieutenant came up to me. Remember, I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of chaos going on. And this other lieutenant came up to me. And I told him, keep your head down. They're right there. So he left me and advanced straight up in front of me. About 5 feet. Remember, I told him, keep your head down. They're right there. And he did. He picked up his head to take a peek, and they killed him. And it pissed me off because I told him, keep your head down, they're right there. But there was, like I said, a lot of chaos going on at that moment. And we were, through the radio, message came, and they told us to get our guys who was left, pull them back, get into a circle. And I didn't know why, but I did what I was told. I crawled up there to the right, and there was a foxhole. And I'm trying to crawl into a straight line so I can get these 3 other Marines that are over in this right corner of me to bring them back. And I saw this foxhole, and I saw a Chi-Com right there in the bottom of the foxhole. And I crawled right over that foxhole, and I said, please don't go off, please don't go off. And I just remember the dirt as I'm crawling over the foxhole, and the dirt's falling into the foxhole, and I don't know why. I just said, don't go off, don't go off. Anyways, it didn't. I reached the 3 Marines, told them we're going to pull back. And we pulled back about roughly 15 yards. We're still in the same area. And then a couple of minutes later, a F-4 Phantom comes. Remember, we're on the crest, so we're on this side, and on this side is the enemy. And the F-4 Phantoms come in and drop their napalm. And all the air in the immediate area just got sucked out. And you gasped for air for about maybe 2 seconds. They got him pretty bad. And then we got a report to break contact. And I found out this later. A few days later. They had captured, actually they didn't capture, NVA officer had surrendered at Quezon airstrip. And he told the command that what was going on that next morning, that they were going to attack the entire area and overrun our hill and the other hills, and that was the beginning of the Tet Offensive of 1968. And so we were told to break contact, go back to Hill 881 South, and get ready for the attack that next morning, that they're going to overrun us. And the only reason our Hill 881 South did not get overrun that next morning at 5:30 in the morning, which would have been the 21st of January, is because our artillery and the napalm of the F-4 Phantoms, we really destroyed that battalion that was going to overrun us that next morning. So the only thing our hill received at that moment at 5:30 in the morning was a mortar, and it landed about one red alert. We're in a trench. Our heads are only exposed, and we're looking down. Can't see anything because it's dark. 5:30 in the morning, and all of a sudden this explosion happened about 20, maybe 25 feet in front of me, and the guy next to us. Remember, our heads are only exposed, looking down the hill. And when the explosion happened, a piece of shrapnel just came and took his forehead skin off. He was very fortunate. And myself, I went like this at the time of the explosion, and I just got hit the left side of my face only with the blast and the heat, no shrapnel. I was fortunate also. And later that morning at daybreak, about 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning, helicopter landed on our Hill 881 South. And our wounded were medevac to Quezon airstrip. And now we're at the airstrip at Quezon, awaiting our medevac out of the area completely. And these 5 reporters surrounded me, and they wanted to know what happened, because they were not allowed up on the hill. And I was just not in a good mood because of the action I just saw the previous day. And I just waved them off. I just stayed there on the sandbag, smoking my cigarette and contemplating of what had happened the day before. And there's lots of little details. And I was in my own thought. And so they left me alone. But then now that I'm at medevac out of the area, I'm in Japan at a hospital there. I'm going through Look magazine, Life magazine, keeping up with my guys that we just left, and Tet Offensive just started. And I'm keeping up, reading everything I can read that's at the hospital. And I came across this Newsweek magazine too. The Pueblo had just been captured, and it was on the cover, February 5th, issue, 1968. And as I'm looking through there about Vietnam, I see my photograph in there. And apparently one of the photojournalists over to my extreme left took a photograph of me smoking my cigarette at the Quezon airstrip for my flight out of the area. And my name was not given because I didn't want to talk to them. But I eventually was sent, because in Japan, roughly about after 10 or 15 days, if you're going to get well, you might go back to Vietnam. If you're not going to get well, they would send you back to the States. And so I was not going to get well, and they sent me back to the United States, main site as they call it. And I served my last time there, the end of my third year at Camp Pendleton. My thoughts, going back now, and my thoughts that when I was sitting on the sandbag smoking my cigarette to get medevaced, I was thinking about everything that I had seen or witnessed during my short time in Vietnam. And it was it's hard to describe, but I'll try to remember my thoughts, and I wrote them down. And seen the dead body, put her in a wood stake like a pig, and carried off. A mother selling her daughter for sex to the troops, right there on the side of the road about 20 feet from me. Sometimes the inhumane things that happen during war and battle. Some guys will get souvenirs, body parts. Body being blown in half. I just hate war. It's terrible to witness it and be part of it. And the things you would do or the things you will not do. I don't know where I heard this from, but I heard somewhere, and it's best not to make really good friendships, close friendships. Friendships, yes, but not very close, because that person can be dead the next minute. I had a few friends, but to be honest with you, I forget their names. I wish I didn't, but I just forgot their names. I have lots of photographs. We had our little celebrations when we were in the rear for that moment, collecting our mail. I mean, being out in the bush, as they call it, out in the field. 21 days without a shower. And we stunk pretty bad. And coming back and getting our mail, getting a hot shower, getting some hot food, you know, all going through the same thing. And that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be as a unit and be in the dirt, in the mud. I wanted to do that. I did not want that desk job. I wanted to be in the action. And and all those that went through it, we remember all those little things. And dreaming of certain things, like I was dreaming of a banana split. And it was a little celebration when we came back and got all our mail and opened our mail, whether it be good news or bad news. I wrote letters to my mom, and remember, my parents are divorced, and I wrote to my dad, and I did not write Spanish very well at all, and so it took me a while to write maybe 3 paragraphs to my father in Spanish, and I'm hoping that I spelled everything somewhat correct, that he can understand my Spanish letter to him. And that was about it, letters. And it would take a while for the letters to catch up to you, or a package to get caught up to you, because remember, you're moving around a lot. And my mom, it was funny, everybody would get a package, not everybody, but some guys would get a package from their girlfriend or their family. And in my case, my mom would send me a loaf of bread. And in that loaf of bread, she'd stuff in a half pint of rum, stuff it in there, and the bread became that cushion. And a pepperoni stick. And that's what my mom would send me. And my dad, on the other hand, he would send me all this canned Mexican food. Anything that was Mexican food that was canned. Tortillas, beans, tamales, the whole bit. You know, and that's a treat compared to sea rations. When I was, before I went to Vietnam, you met buddies, and being that you're not from that area, at that time I was stationed on the East Coast in Camp Lejeune, and some of the guys that I met would invite me to their home for the weekend. And I went to Florida, Baltimore, New York, and just for the weekend, they'd invite me to their home. And the same would be in reverse. You know, if we're stationed here in the West Coast, Camp Pendleton, for example, and I'd invite some of the guys to come over to my home and show them around a little bit, you know, because they're from wherever they're at, raised at. And so you make that little friendship here and there. But that was before combat. After combat, I lost contact with everybody. And every once in a while you'll see a posting of a reunion. And if you're interested, you can go to that reunion that unit is having, and depends on what state it's in also. And so I'm hoping to go to one of these reunions very soon.
Okay.
When I was in the military, in the Marine Corps, from July 1966 through July 1969, 3 years active. And when I came home, it was in the air, the news media. It was pretty bad what was going on as far as Vietnam and the protest and everything. And I remember, I don't know, I was got off the bus, and I'm walking in my own neighborhood, and I went to this bowling alley. I was just a little tired, and I just wanted a drink. And I went to this, in the bowling alley, I went to the bar, and the bartender walked me home. He said, "I'll buy you a drink." And I told him, "Thank you." And that's the only little welcome I did have, as far as that I really felt, and that he kind of felt that this veteran, what he must have gone through. Maybe he has gone through the same thing. He was much older. And so the bartender bought me a drink. And that was very nice. and then I'd continue going home. And my mom, who I lived with at that moment, she had just moved and bought a house. And so in my letter, I had a map and directions how to get home. On this street, turn right or turn left. And walking the streets at night. And it was funny not coming home to a home that you knew. It was something completely new to me. The reception, as far as there was no welcome home banner or anything like that, like sometimes you see in movies or whatever. And it was just coming home and very tranquil. No rejoicing, hugs, yes, but no big celebration. My adjustment to civilian life after I was discharged in July of '69, it was somewhat like freedom a little bit. Actually, let me back up a little bit. Just before I was discharged, they offered me a promotion. I was a sergeant at that moment, and they offered me a promotion to staff sergeant, and the assistant manager of the NCO club at Camp Pendleton. And I said no. I just wanted to get out. And then when I arrived, and I'm now officially discharged from active duty, and remember, this is the late 60s, early 70s, and everything had changed. The music had changed. Lots of drugs. And I was just partying a lot, making up for lost time. It seemed like forever that it was, I accepted some changes, but it was just, some changes was just like, I was just amazed of these things that were going on now in our country. And the protest, kept reading up about the Vietnam War, watching on TV, and sadness, wanting to be there, not wanting to be there. It was so much confusion going on at the same time, and sadness, and it was hard. It was hard. I wound up getting a job as a life insurance agent and selling life insurance. And I didn't sell one life insurance policy for 4 months I worked there. It was just not in me. I'm not a salesman. And I was just, did what I was supposed to do as far as collecting the premiums, going to the homes, and collecting the premiums of previous sales. But I did not make one sale at all. I could not sell somebody a life insurance policy. That was not in me. And after that, I wound up getting a job at the post office. And I put in 33 years there, and a total of 37 with military time and things like that. So I retired from the post office in 2003. Okay. There's a couple of high school friends that also were in the Marine Corps, and we keep in touch. And we go out to breakfast. Roughly every 3 months we'll go out to breakfast. But there's, from my actual unit in Vietnam, they are having a reunion. 3rd Battalion, 26 Marines. And that's coming up in August of this year, 2016, which is just in a few months. And I'm hoping to go to that. That's going to be here in San Diego, which is close to where I live now. And I'm hoping to meet up with some of the guys from my company, which was India Company. My wartime experience was just, I have PTSD. I'm always for safety, security, here where I live. Wake up in the middle of the night, do like a little recon of the perimeter. I don't actually go outside, although I have a couple of times gone outside when I thought I heard something. So I do suffer from that, and but now in the age that we live in, and whenever I go to a restaurant, I had a part-time job also with the Santa Barbara Red Cross, and I also worked for the Santa Barbara School District, and in special ed. And I would catch the bus with the students, and just being aware of everybody that's on the bus with us, or when we go to a restaurant, just keeping who's in the restaurant. That's just the way I am now, and trying to always protect my group of fellow Marines, students. And it's funny, all the shootings that have been going on in the past years, the postal shootings, the high school shootings, and where am I working at? I'm working at both locations. And I don't know why, I just thought it was going to happen. So I was always keeping an eye out. And how am I going to protect the kids? Where am I going to take the kids? At the post office, what am I going to do to get this person? That's just the way I was thinking, and I am. And I retired from the post office in 2003. And a few months later, the postal shooting in Santa Barbara happened. And that was the time and the shift I worked. I knew everybody involved. I knew them all. I wish I could have been there to do something, to try to do something. I also worked for the Red Cross in Santa Barbara. I volunteered there only for about 2 or 3 weeks. And this was a few years back, and it was called a Tea Fire. And after all these homes were burned in the Santa Barbara area, myself and my group of other volunteers, we would take supplies that are needed, rakes, shovels, water, all the different supplies that the family that just lost their home can have something. I also worked with disabled adults at another organization in Santa Barbara. And these are disabled adults, and when they go on vacation, I would be their aide. And they all had some form of mental disabilities or physical. And it was nice to go on vacations with them, and depending on their budget, the most popular places were going to Las Vegas and Disneyland. But the ones who can afford it would go on European trips, just different locations. It depends on what their budget was. And I was fortunate one time to go to Hawaii with this group of disabled adults. That was nice, but a lot of stress, and you're on duty 24 hours. because you have to monitor the medication, monitor their money, their safety, especially when they're in a pool. You can't be over the side reading a magazine. You have to be right there at the edge of the pool watching them in case they have a seizure or something. So whether it be at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, something happens, you have to clean up the mess. So it was not really a vacation for me. I'm working 24 hours, we all were. And but it was fun to experience this little travel, whether it be for 3 days or whether it be for a 2-week period. It was nice to travel with these adults.
All right, well, Rudy, thank you very much. We appreciate the interview.
Thank you.